What's going on, guys? Right here we have a 2023 4Runner that was brought to us from Maryland. This is Jeff's 4Runner, and we just did a full build. If you guys didn't see that, the link for that is down in the description, where we put all the parts onto this 4Runner. It was brought to us pretty much stock, but in this one we're just going to be quickly going around the 4Runner and doing a walk around, showing you guys exactly what we put on and a little bit more detail. So let's go ahead and get into it. So the first thing we're going to start with is the suspension, the wheels, and the tires. So we went with a ARB OME BP51 kit on here, and we also have the upper control arms. So these are an adjustable coilover. They have a remote reservoir. We have bolted up to the frame rail there. And this is a super nice kit. You have two different options for spring rates, medium or heavy. He went with medium, and honestly doing pretty well even with all of the extra added weight that we put onto this 4Runner. So we did the control arms in the front to make everything right. In the rear, we did a panhard bar correction. From factory, that bar that goes horizontally across the back of the 4Runner is sitting level. Once you lift up the 4Runner, it is not sitting level anymore, so the panhard bar correction kit brings it back to a level. Moving on to the wheel and tire package, we have a 285/70 Mickey Thompson Baja Boss. This is the all-terrain. But for an all-terrain tire, this has a pretty aggressive tread on it, and I really like these tires. And we have those wrapped around some 17 by 8.5 with a zero offset method race wheel. This combination is really nice. It's a 33, but you have a lot of clearance in the back. You usually don't have to do a body mount chop with this setup right here. You will have to do your mud flap removal, and then you're gonna have to do some trimming in the front. But because we have the C4 bumper, we already did that. We'll go over that a little bit later. Next thing we're going to look at on this 4Runner is all of the armor that we installed. So for rock sliders, he went with the Cali Rays. This is the step style slider. They have two different ones. These come straight out, which is for a step, and they also have ones that come up on an angle, which is more of your strictly rock slider style. These come pre-powder coated, which is really nice. They're also super easy to install. We have a nice black finish here on the outside tubing, but the part where you step is a nice thick textured for grip. So this is nice for either a step to get into the 4Runner or to get up to your roof rack. Moving on to the back of his 4Runner, he went with a C4 Overland rear bumper. This is a super heavy duty bumper. As you can see, we have the spare tire on there. We have some traction boards. There is a mount here for a high lift jack. On this side of the traction boards, there is a bunch of mounts for Rotopax cans. And then we relocated the license plate here. We have a new light for that, which we wired in. We also relocated the backup camera down here, which that was really fun to rewire, but we got it done. And then opening this thing up, it has heavy duty latch here on the bottom, and there is hydraulic shocks to help you open it. Both sides open up. This is the dual swing out configuration. And there is room for a ladder on the back. We have a Gobi ladder here installed. So once you got this thing open, it does have a nice little table here built in. So you can go ahead and take off this nut that secures it up in place. You can drop that down. It's got cables here to keep it nice and tight. It's got a built-in bottle opener, which is pretty cool. But this is a nice little setup for when you get to camp. He also went with a little bracket here. This is to hold an antenna. So I'm sure he'll be installing that. So that's pretty much it here on the rear bumper of this 4Runner. Let's go ahead now to the front and check out the C4 Low Pro bumper. So right here we have the Low Pro bumper from C4. This one has the high bull bar option on it. With the high bull bar, it does not block your TSS sensor. If you went with the medium one, it would block that. And then also you have the option to not go with the bull bar at all. To go with this, we have the high clearance additions here. These bolt on right to the side of your C4 Low Pro bumper. You do obviously have to cut the side here, but that gives you that clearance that we were talking about for your bigger tires. And then for the center section here of the bumper, you have to cut out the bottom, but you really don't see where you cut, so if it isn't the prettiest, you don't have to worry about it. Unlike the Cali Rays rock sliders, everything from C4 does not come powder coated, so we got all of this stuff powder coated for Jeff in a nice textured black. The front bumper, the back bumper, All of the skid plates that we have underneath this thing, which are C4 as well, we got all that stuff powder coated for them, and it came out looking super good. Some benefits for a bumper like this is obviously just strength, looks, but you can also fit a winch in there, and there is also a location for a light bar. So we have a 10,000 pound Warren winch inside there, and we also have a 30-inch light bar from Dial Dynamics. And because he lives in a state that requires a front plate, C4 offers a front plate location on there, so we have that for him. Like I mentioned, we do have C4 skid plates under this thing. We have the TRD integrated skid plate setup, so you can use your factory TRD skid plate, and then the rest of the skid plates behind that are all C4. They work together, so that's going to give him a bunch of protection underneath. It's kind of hard to get some shots, but we'll get what we can. Next up, we'll move on to the lighting on this 4Runner. Like I mentioned, we have a 30-inch Dial Dynamics light bar here in the front of this C4 bumper. We also installed some Morimoto headlights. We have some Dial Dynamics fog lights here in the factory location. It just goes right into your factory wiring. Up here, we have some Dial Dynamics ditch lights. We also have some brackets here from Diode as well. Up on the roof, we have a 42-inch Dial Dynamics light bar in white, and then that is mounted to a Sherpa Crestone full-size roof rack. And then in the back, he's got some Alpha Rex taillights and those Baja S2 lights that we mentioned earlier. So when it came to wiring in all these lights, it was pretty simple because we used our Yoda Expedition auxiliary power kit. He also wanted everything that has backlighting to be on his DRLs. So I'll go ahead, I'll turn those on, and I'll show you how that looks. So now with that on, you can see everything that's got backlighting is on together. We have the Raptor lights on, we have the headlights here, the OEM location fog lights, the ditch lights. All of that stuff has backlighting and they all turn on together, and it looks really good going down the road. The light bar up on the roof and the light bar in the front bumper, they do not have a backlighting, so that's why they are not on. Like I mentioned, we have the Yoda X auxiliary power kit on here. So with a nice little switch panel inside, we can turn all of the lights on very easily. We can add a bunch of different stuff in the future. We have 4 open spots on there right now. We have the roof, the ditch lights, the bumper lights, and then we also have one hooked up to the compressor from ARB, which we'll get to that once we pop the hood. So let's go ahead and pop the hood. We'll take a look at the auxiliary power kit under there, also the compressor like I mentioned. We also installed a TRD intake. So right here is the power kit from Yoda X. It comes on a bracket that is made specifically for the 5th Gen 4Runner. It drops right in, bolts in very easily. Everything that you have aftermarket wise, whether it be lighting or the air compressor over there, is going to wire right to this box. And then you're going to have one wire that runs from this into the cabin, and that's going to go to that 8-gang switch, and everything's going to operate very easily. And there's a bunch of room, like I said, to add things in the future. Like I mentioned, we installed a onboard compressor. So this is the ARB twin compressor here. We also installed this onto a more off-road bracket. So that holds a 1-gallon tank right underneath it. The tank is from ARB also. And then for an easy hookup, we have the lines running up the side here. And then he can easily take the air hose, go inside the C4 bumper, and then we have the air hookup right there. So if he ever has to put some air in the tires, he doesn't have to pop the hood to do so. Last but not least, like I said, we installed a TRD intake on here as well. And then we have that matched up with the Safari snorkel here from ARB. And then we put a Cyclone top on this. This is going to get any dirt and debris that comes from the air. It's going to push it out the back. This is a nice little touch to any snorkel. All right, guys, that's going to wrap up this build overview. This is Jeff's 5th Gen 4Runner build. Hopefully you guys like it. Let us know what you think down in the comments. If you guys want something like this done to your 4Runner, shoot us an email at installation@yodaexpedition.com. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys on the next one.